For as long as I can remember, kids love going retro. Now it's Gen Z's turn. They're bringing back everything.
For as long as I can remember, washed up old people made fun of kids. Now it's time for the boomer generation. They're gonna make fun of everything.
Low-rise jeans, vinyl records, the measles.
I get it, guys, because they're kids and they like vinyls. That's like old people stuff. Isn't that funny? Fuck those Gen Zers, they're so stupid.
But it doesn't stop there.
Gen Z craving nostalgia.
Dude, I haven't seen somebody smoking a cigarette in like 5 years. Please somebody point to me an actual credible statistic where young people just started smoking cigarettes out of nowhere.
The generation known for shunning alcohol and other unhealthy habits appears to be lighting up again.
Wow, these kids are woke.
I'm convinced at this point that the only reason this worn out rag has a show at all is because the people that watch it are fucking idiots. Like at this point, it's literally just Gen Z is smoking cigarettes now because we said they are.
I'm surprised Gen Z even knows how to hold a cigarette. I thought all they did was scroll, tap, and whack off.
I'm surprised this old man still has a TV show. I thought all he did was cough, sleep, and shit his pants.
Factors fueling the shift including nihilism about the future, the online, quote, messy girl aesthetic, celebrity culture, and the Gen Z's high level of anxiety.
Wow, holy shit. That's why Gen Z is smoking?
No, I'll correct you. The reason why Gen Z is depressed is because nobody can buy a home, nobody can rent an apartment, nobody can get a job, nobody can afford anything. Old fuckers like you ruin the housing market, and our parents gave us iPhones and iPads when we were too young to walk to school on our own.
Flip phones making a comeback. Many Americans want to ditch their smartphones for so-called dumb phones.
Yep. So this is my way of taking back my attention span and deciding what role technology plays in my life.
The idea is to have a phone in your pocket that isn't constantly.
You know, I've been listening to nature a lot. I've been connecting, I've been thinking my thoughts.
Of course you've been thinking your thoughts.
I'm sorry, I gotta ask, is this old idiot actually conscious?
Who else thoughts would you be thinking?
So the answer is no, and to be honest, I feel almost a little bit guilty making this video because it really feels like I'm making fun of a Down syndrome kid. But the only difference between this guy and Down syndrome people is I actually love Down syndrome people.
I mean, if you were thinking my thoughts, you'd be thinking, this woman sounds like a idiot.
Yeah, if this old retard had any idea what he was talking about, he'd recognize the hypocrisy of everything he just said in the last 5 seconds. Like, pardon me, old geezer, but I spent most of my childhood being told to disconnect and to stop playing the Xbox. Now you're telling me that I'm an idiot for downsizing the amount of influence that technology has on my life and getting rid of the one thing you told me not to use.
Of course, once you reach my age, the penis just becomes low-res naturally.
And you also see a sharp decline in brain activity and have to wear adult diapers every day.
When I unzip my pants, my body plays the sound of Miss Pac-Man dying.
I just know that this guy has shit his pants at least 5 different times within the span of this video.
That they visit malls more than any other generation.
I love going to the Apple store and buying an iPad with a friend.
Jesus, how many iPads are you casually buying?
As many as you and your dumbass children will buy us to keep us out of the way so you can smoke crack in the other room.
And since malls are back, you know what that means. I can start buying my clothes at Hot Topic again.
And I'm being so for real, if this old piece of shit really wanted to make fun of Gen Z, all he had to do was pull up videos on TikTok of these clowns with like pink hair ranting about Donald Trump and ICE and people going out in front of like ICE hotels and like screaming their lungs out and breaking windows. I think to me it's just always been a really negative aspect of jealousy that they don't want to admit. And on one hand, I want to say something to the effect of, oh, they had their fun, now they're old and gray, and now all the younger people are having fun so they're jealous. But it really isn't the case, because young people are not having fun. And I don't want to be over here victimizing myself and coming at this from a standpoint of weakness, but if you do the research, these people from this guy's generation really did fuck up a lot of Gen Z's future. I mean, the amount of boomer CEOs that underpay staff, cut wages, layoffs. Like, I haven't been unemployed for 5 months because I'm lazy and I don't want to do work. It's because these diaper-wearing boomers that own companies are cutting off employees and replacing them with AI. But yeah, no, please, keep calling us lazy because, you know, you guys are the smarter generation. You're the older ones, therefore you're more wise. And as ridiculous as it sounds, when I was younger, I used to have this mindset that all old people were wise and that I should listen to them. I actually had the mindset that they expect from me. But now I realize that there's a lot of old people that exist that are actually fucking idiots. A lot of idiots that took out expensive home loans that they weren't qualified for and destroyed the housing market and caused a financial crisis for the younger people to deal with. And now we're at a point where people that are in the same generation as this old rag are actually laundering plenty of American taxpayer money and sending it overseas. I mean, there's just loads amounts of narcissism from people like this that were born 100 years ago that still believe that they're just better than all young people, and young people are always just lazy no matter what. Now, with that being said, I found a charming young person on YouTube who is actually expressing her disconcerns with her generation. Stark concerns of decreased intelligence, high amounts of vulgarity, and a fluoride stare like you've never seen before. And since all these old fuckers will just make jokes about it, I'm gonna let this 14-year-old girl describe it in terms that she knows best.
I genuinely hate my generation. It's like nobody can read, nobody can write. We use AI for everything. Still dumb enough to be really annoying and not self-aware, but like mature enough to where how immature and like dumb people are at this age is concerning.
So I'm really not even sure how I'm gonna like respond to this, because this little kid is like one of the smartest people I think I've seen on this platform. I mean, the fact that you're even aware of this at like what, 14 years old just shows how much more intelligent you are right now than pretty much everybody in your generation. Like, for instance, when I was 14, I was a fucking idiot. But I honestly think it's because I had been born recently enough to where my childhood was still sound. I mean, things that made up my childhood and others from Gen Z, like video games, movies, and TV shows and other things, were still being made for the customer. They're still being made for that generation to enjoy. But it seems, unfortunately for this child, she was born too late, and a part of the first generation that is being forced to consume things that were not made for them. iPhones, social media, everything is AI, everything is an obnoxiously exhausting thing to stare at.
Everyone is mean, like for no reason. So, for example, our teacher, there was a bomb threat at her daughter's school. The daughter was like 4 or 5. She was crying in the middle of class because, she just got that call. And kids were laughing at her, like full-on cackling, like the mean kind of way, sarcastic. But she's a human. And her daughter was like threatened, her life was threatened.
Now, I understand the argument that this is just a young kid who's in school and this type of thing happens all the time. I get that. There's asshole kids everywhere. There's people that are assholes no matter what. But if you really think about it, these people exist on social media, and therefore they do exist in real life as adults. For example, I used to follow this Instagram page called Hardest Poses, and it basically was just a deep-fried meme archive full of funny, hilarious meme edits that used to be really funny, but they started posting these images of like photoshopped and like AI generated Charlie Kirk memes where his face was like deep faked onto like some rapper with like cornrows, and basically just shamelessly disrespecting the dead, somebody that was brutally murdered in front of hundreds of people and whose wife and child no longer have a husband or a dad. And so the fact that all these little kids have iPhones, they have social media, they have access to pages like Hardest Poses, it doesn't surprise me that things happen like this in her school.
Not to mention, this might just because I live in a red state, but people are like, especially the boys, are blatantly homophobic, misogynistic, racist, and like just all the other phobics.
Now, in response to this, I'd recommend being careful what you consider homophobic, transphobic, racist, or whatever. Because if you haven't noticed, pretty much everybody nowadays throws those words around like they mean literally nothing. And at this point, they really don't. And being that we're talking about literal middle schoolers here, I'm not surprised that there's some kids trying to be edgy. Everybody had an edgy era at one point where they were just saying really dark and nasty shit just so that they can get a rise out of people. And like, I've literally had people tell me like, oh yeah, that band you like listening to, yeah, their guitar player's a Nazi. And at first I was thinking like, wait a minute, what? Like, I took it seriously until later on I realized, wait a minute, this bitch is literally just saying somebody's a Nazi. Like, she has literally no idea what Nazi means. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to say thanks so much. We're almost at 100 subscribers. Literally, I've had like 3 people subscribe today, so that's a world record. Hooray for me. But anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm gonna have some more videos out soon, another episode of Speed Draw Therapy, and maybe another song coming out, so be on the lookout for that stuff. But anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you guys later.